Okay, now as you can see, I've done more wrapping and knitting off, and so now I have a completed hat. I'm ready to take my hat off of the loom. So the first step I'm going to do is I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut my yarn off of my skein. Then I'm going to take a big long length of yarn that's probably about 3 feet long to be safe. And I'm going to fold this yarn in half, so that I have it looped here and then the big long strings on the bottom. I'm going to take my loom and hold it like this so that the pegs are pointing up and I can see my holding tack. I'm going to take that loop on my long length of yarn and hook it about 4 or 5 pegs to the right of the holding tack. For this step, I want all of the wraps on my peg to be up so that I can lay that long length of yarn underneath. And I'm going to take my pick, I'm going to go underneath the wrap that's on the peg. I'm going to grab a hold of that long length of yarn and I'm going to pull it up through. I'm going to show you on the next one because that one wasn't very clean. Grab that yarn, pull it up through, just like that. The groove on the pegs makes it really convenient because you can just kind of twist your pick tool and get that yarn to come right up out the top. Now if you can visualize what I'm doing, each of these wraps on the loom would, if they're taken off the pegs, they would just come unraveled because we haven't tied any knots, we've just done weaving. So fishing this long length of yarn through each of these is going to make them so that they're all hooked together and nothing will come undone on our hat. Okay, now you can see I've come all the way around the loom. I'm almost back to my holding tack. This is my long length of yarn I'm fishing through each one of the loops. And I'm back to where I hooked my yarn over the top of the peg to hold it originally. I can take that off now and just let it hang down because it'll hold enough now because everything's been looped through. Then I'm going to slide these wraps up to the top of the pegs and finish fishing this big long length of yarn through these last 4 or 5 pegs. You want to be sure you get this long length of yarn through each one of the loops on the pegs, because if you miss one, like I said before, your whole project will just come unraveled. This last one's a little tricky because it's kind of loose because of how those yarns are. Okay, once you've completed that, you should have 3 sets of yarn. This one here on the left and this one here on the right is the big long length of yarn that we just fished through each of the loops, and this one here in the center is the one that we cut. So once you get to this point, you want to keep track of all of these 3 sections. We can take everything off of the loom now. I use my fingers because I think it's the easiest way. You can use your pick tool if you'd like, and I'm just going to pull those up over the top of each of those pegs. They're all going to stay together now because that big length of yarn has been fished through each one of those and they're all hooked together. Nothing will come unraveled. I'm going to turn my hat inside out. And find those 3 sets of yarn again that I showed you before. Here they are. These 2 here are the big long length, and then this is the one that I cut. I'm going to grab those 2 strands, that is the big long length of yarn, and I'm going to just cinch this hat up just like that to close that hole in tight. And I'm going to tie just a basic square knot. I can pull it as tight as I possibly can because we don't want any kind of a hole in the top of our hat. Then what I always do is after completing that square knot is I take those 2 strands in one hand, then I grab this 3rd set of strings that we cut before we started to finish the hat, and I tie a 2nd square knot just to make sure that everything is tight and there won't be any holes. Now there's a couple options that you can do with these little, this yarn here at the end. You can just cut them off maybe an inch or two long. They'll just be on the inside of your hat so that you won't be able to see them, or you can fish them back through to clean them up. And the same thing with this piece here. Just for this demonstration, I'm just going to leave them. Turn your hat back the right way, and you can see we have a nice completed hat. This is actually a hat that will fit a newborn child. It's a really simple process, and it's really fun.